video, we will discuss the plot of the action sci-fi film titled TRON, ARES, released in 2025. In this film's story, a powerful AI program is sent to the real world to carry out an important mission that could change the future of the digital world. But before we get into the plot, I want to remind you guys that this content contains full spoilers. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Without further ado, let's get right into the story. The story opens with a technology visionary named Kevin Flynn predicting that one day the digital world will enter the real world. In the present time, the media highlights two technology companies named Encom and Dillinger. Apparently, Encom and Dillinger are competing fiercely to create a major breakthrough in the field of artificial intelligence, or AI. The story then switches to show an AI program named ARES. Through a test conducted by Julian, ARES successfully eliminates many programs ordered to fight him. After the test, Julian introduces himself as the creator of ARES. ARES now lives within the digital network, or grid, owned by Dillinger. Julian appoints ARES as the leader of the Dillinger grid, tasked with maintaining network security. Afterward, Julian, as the CEO of Dillinger, conducts a demonstration for potential investors. Using particle laser technology, Julian successfully transforms a digital combat vehicle into a real-life combat vehicle.
5 miles per hour. Durability, you find a wall.
Julian then presents ARES, who can appear in the real world thanks to the particle laser. To attract investor interest, Julian states that ARES is the strongest warrior. The reason? ARES has strength and speed exceeding normal humans and possesses extraordinary intelligence. Furthermore, because he is an AI program, he does not require food or drink. And if he dies, Julian can simply create a new ARES. Julian guarantees that ARES can be controlled and will always obey orders because he has been fitted with special features. Ultimately, Julian claims that ARES, along with the combat vehicle, will become the greatest technology in the defense industry. After the demonstration, Julian talks to his mother, Elizabeth. In this moment, Elizabeth scolds Julian for hiding the main weakness of ARES in the combat vehicle. As it turns out, digital objects like ARES can only survive in the real world for 29 minutes. If they exceed that time limit, ARES and other digital objects will instantly vanish. ARES and the combat vehicle shown to vanish because their time limit in the real world has expired. After seeing this incident, Elizabeth warns Julian that Dillinger will fail if Julian cannot make digital objects survive permanently. Julian insists he only needs to find the permanence code so he can make digital objects exist in the real world without a time limit. From now on, we will refer to the permanence code as code. Meanwhile, a woman named Eve enters Kevin Flynn's former facility located in a remote area of Alaska. Eve is the CEO of Encom, who successfully revived the company from a crisis after Flynn disappeared while he was the CEO of Encom. Thanks to information from her late sister Tess, Eve manages to find the code she has been searching for. This moment proves that Eve is also ambitious about making digital objects appear permanently in the real world. After that, Eve and her assistant Seth use the particle laser to create a real orange tree that was previously a digital object. Then Eve adds the code to test whether the orange tree can survive in the real world after 29 minutes. Ultimately, the orange tree survives for hours thanks to the code. Since this event, Eve tries to conceal the code so her company cannot perform Dillinger.
Time continues until Julian finally finds out that Eve has obtained the code. Julian then hacks the digital network, or grid, belonging to Encom, with a mission to retrieve Eve's files related to the code. During Julian's hacking, the AI program army, led by ARES, appears within the Encom grid. After defeating the AI program forces guarding the Encom grid, ARES' forces successfully breach the server area. After that, ARES' forces rush to leave the Encom grid. In the process, they have to fight more AI programs from Encom. It turns out that the emergence of many Encom programs is the technicians' resistance against Julian's hacking attempts. Knowing that ARES' forces are cornered, Julian sends another hacking code so the Encom programs fail to capture ARES' forces. From that code, an attack resembling a nuclear bomb appears, destroying ARES' forces and all the Encom programs in the surrounding location. Not long after, Julian recreates ARES and orders him to investigate Eve's file. In the process, ARES obtains a lot of personal information related to Eve. ARES then manages to track the location of Flynn's former facility, which is where Eve found the code. After completing his task, ARES asks Julian why a Dillinger program that fell during the mission to steal Eve's file was not recreated. Julian hints that he will delete programs that are disobedient or malfunctioning like the Fallen program. Now Julian gives ARES a new mission, to find Eve and retrieve the code. Julian then uses the particle laser to transfer ARES from the Dillinger grid to the real world. Apparently, in the mission to capture Eve, ARES will work with a fellow AI program named Athena. With a digital light cycle motor that has been converted into a real one, ARES and Athena finally set out to hunt Eve. They must move quickly because they only have a 29-minute time limit before they vanish and return to the grid. At the same time, Eve already knows that Julian is after her. Therefore, Eve now escapes on a motorcycle while carrying a flash drive containing the code. A few minutes later, ARES and Athena find Eve. Their chase causes destruction in the city. While still struggling to escape, Eve intentionally crashes her motorcycle into Athena, causing the program to stop chasing. Soon after, Eve successfully hijacks Athena's light cycle just as Athena gets up and is about to catch her. While escaping with her new vehicle, Eve must face ARES, who continues the pursuit. Soon after, ARES is involved in an incident that causes both him and Eve to lose their respective motorcycles. Starting from this incident, Eve manages to escape before facing ARES again. Just as ARES is about to catch her, Eve secretly breaks her flash drive first and throws it into the sea so Julian fails to retrieve the code. A few seconds later, ARES and Athena vanish because their time limit has expired. Eve is then hit by a particle laser shot from Julian's envoy, which throws her into the Dillinger grid.
Afterward, ARES monitors the process that will transform Eve into a digital being. Apparently, this transformation is necessary for Eve to live normally within the Dillinger grid. Once Eve has transformed into a digital being, ARES installs an identity disk on Eve's suit so Eve can regain her original memories. When interrogated by ARES, Eve asserts that she has destroyed the flash drive storing the code, so Julian will not be able to retrieve it. ARES reveals that the code can still be obtained by extracting Eve's identity disk, but it must be remembered that this method will cause Eve to die permanently. Athena then orders her soldiers to extract Eve's identity disk because she doesn't care if Eve dies. ARES successfully foils this extraction and orders Athena to wait for Julian's decision. After that, ARES informs Julian that he can use the extraction to obtain the code. ARES also reveals the side effect of the extraction, which will kill Eve. Ultimately, Julian orders ARES to perform the extraction because Julian prioritizes the code over Eve's life. After communicating with Julian, ARES secretly disobeys the order because he doesn't want Eve to die. ARES manages to deceive Athena by stating that the extraction is postponed until further orders from Julian. Then, as ARES goes to meet Eve, Athena contacts Julian. It turns out Athena is capable of detecting ARES' lie. Because of this, Athena states that ARES is malfunctioning because he is not obeying Julian's orders. At the same time, Eve manages to convince ARES that Julian is actually a wicked person who will do anything to achieve his goals. From this point in time, ARES becomes more courageous in rebelling and helps Eve escape. After that, Athena deploys combat drones to stop ARES and Eve. Apparently, Athena received a mission from Julian to kill ARES and capture Eve for extraction. ARES manages to destroy the drones by exploding the surrounding area.
Zeroing in on target. Yes, I know where to find the code. Just get me out of here.
According to plan, ARES and Eve successfully enter a portal that transfers them to the real world. ARES then manages to subdue the Dillinger security officers. As soon as ARES and Eve escape, Julian transfers Athena to the real world. Athena is equipped with a particle laser weapon to return Eve to the Dillinger grid. Meanwhile, ARES and Eve discuss their next step. Eve agrees to help ARES get one copy of the code as compensation for ARES saving Eve from the extraction. Since ARES' time limit in the real world is only 29 minutes, he plans to steal a faster car so they can reach Eve's destination before time runs out. Thanks to the car, ARES and Eve arrive at Encom just in time. Upon entering Flynn's office, Eve gives ARES important information. The copy of the code ARES needs is actually inside Flynn's grid. This grid has an 80s aesthetic because the digital network was created by Flynn when he was young. As Eve prepares to use the particle laser to send ARES into the Flynn's grid, Athena arrives and targets Eve. ARES attempts to attack Athena to protect Eve. However, Eve manages to shoot ARES with the particle laser first, causing ARES to enter the grid before he can attack Athena. Shortly after entering Flynn's grid, ARES is assisted by an AI program. As a result, ARES kindly finds Flynn, who appears in digital form. While they talk, ARES indicates that he has developed feelings and self-awareness, which is considered a malfunction for an AI program. After observing ARES' attitude, Flynn believes that ARES is a good person and cares about his friend. Because of this, Flynn agrees to give ARES his created code. Turns out ARES wants to use the code for himself so he can live permanently in the real world. Flynn warns ARES that he only has one life if he lives permanently in the real world. Nevertheless, ARES is prepared for this consequence and finally accepts the code from Flynn. Following Flynn's instructions, ARES uses the grid portal to transfer himself to the real world. Meanwhile, Athena begins her attack to facilitate her mission of returning Eve to the Dillinger grid. In the process, Athena successfully terminates the resistance of Seth, who tried to protect Eve. Ultimately, Athena fails to return Eve to the Dillinger grid because her time limit expires. Upon returning to the Dillinger grid, Athena remembers that Julian ordered her to retrieve Eve and obtain the code at all costs. Based on that, Athena returns to the real world and uses the particle laser to create her targeted combat aircraft aircraft without Julian's permission. In the middle of the creation process, Athena stabs Elizabeth because she tries to shut down the particle laser. Julian is devastated, fearing his mother will die. While Julian is panicked by his mother's critical condition, Athena leaves with a completed combat aircraft. Knowing that Athena has returned to continue her mission, Eve instructs her colleague to hack and shut down the Dillinger grid using Athena's leftover particle laser weapon. Apparently, Eve wants her colleague to shut down the Dillinger grid so Athena will die permanently and vanish from the real world, preventing her from hunting Eve any farther. Eve then leaves the Encom building and attempts to lure Athena to facilitate the Dillinger grid hack. On her way to Eve's location, Athena manages to shoot down a law enforcement helicopter.
2 missile away. Speed fighter escorts inbound and moving fast. Viper 1, count. Viper 1.
Athena then fires a missile that successfully traps Eve. Soon after, Athena eliminates the military aircraft trying to stop her. However, Athena's combat aircraft is hit by a missile and the aircraft finally crashes. Moments later, Athena manages to get out of the aircraft and switches to using a vehicle because she lost her particle laser weapon. Athena captures Eve first so she can take her to the Dillinger facility and use the laser there to return Eve to the grid. Mid-journey, Athena is intercepted by ARES, who now wears a different suit since becoming a real-world being. Utilizing his new identity disc, ARES manages to damage Athena's vehicle. After saving Eve, ARES fights Athena soldiers. This moment proves that ARES still maintains his great fighting ability, even though he is no longer an AI program. At the climax, ARES manages to cut off Athena's right arm and prepares to kill her to protect Eve. At this moment, Eve's colleague successfully shuts down the Dillinger grid, causing Athena and other Dillinger digital objects to die permanently and vanish from the real world. Before vanishing, Athena makes an important final statement to ARES. From this, ARES realizes he has no purpose in the real world yet.
Meanwhile, the police are on their way to arrest Julian because he is deemed responsible for the damage caused in the city. As the police approach his location, Julian manages to reactivate the particle laser system. Using the laser, Julian finally escapes to the Dillinger grid just as the police arrive at the location. Returning to ARES, he is resting with Eve. After discussing their plans, ARES decides to leave Eve to avoid the police who will soon arrive. Eve then remembers her late sister Tess. After that, Eve receives a postcard containing a message from ARES. Through this message, ARES recounts his current living condition. ARES also hints that he will search for Sam, Flynn's son, and his close friend Cora. The reason is that both of them experienced a similar situation to ARES, successfully leaving the grid and starting a new life in the real world. At the end of his message, ARES acknowledges that he will return to Eve someday. Time continues until Julian begins living in the Dillinger grid, which is now damaged. Julian finds Sark's identity disk, which is his grandfather's created program. Julian finally undergoes a transformation after activating the disk. And with that, the movie finally ends. So that's the entire plot of the film TRON ARES, released in 2025. Thank you very much for watching this plot recap, and see you in the next exciting movie plot.